All right, good morning. It's Tuesday, April 27th today. So the first thing you should be doing is completing your measurement test. Once you're done that, which I'm hoping you've already done if you're listening to this lesson, is we're working on similar triangles. So trying to find angles and lengths of triangles that are similar in size. So I'm going to pull up our work here. So like I said, number one is our measurement test. And then we have today's lesson, which is on triangles. So two triangles are, hold on, I got to pull up my stuff here. Okay, so they're congruent if they're the same. So that means that they are the same shape and size, and they have the same angles. Okay, so that means it's pretty well exactly the exact same triangle. Okay, two angles are similar, so those are going to be different if they have the same angles and the same ratios. So we kind of saw this with the rectangular prisms when we were doing volume. There were a few examples that one tank was like measurements 2, 4, and 6, and the next one was 4, 12, or 4, 8, and 12. So that means that they are 2 times bigger than the other one. So they have the same angles. They have the similar ratios, meaning that you multiply it by the exact same number. It's kind of larger. It's a zoomed in version, I guess. Okay. So just a recall real quick. All of our angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Okay. I don't know how to do the degree sign with the keyboard, but so when you were to add up all of our angles on a triangle, that would give you 180. So if we're looking at this triangle right here, we're trying to find our third angle here. So you would just simply do 180 minus the angles that we do know. Okay, so we did some of these in our diagnostic on the very first day. So if you subtract all of those, that means that this angle here is 50 degrees. Okay. So it is important to understand the difference between a congruent triangle and similar triangles. So similar triangles, like I'm saying, is just multiplied by a number all of the sides to get a bigger triangle than the original one, but they do have the same angles. So I'm going to erase this and we're going to head over to the examples. So example number one, it says find the corresponding angles and sides for the triangles. Okay, so when we go to state an angle, all you do is you do, it's kind of similar to a triangle in ways. Actually, I'm going to type this out. I can do that. Okay, so our angle E right here is going to be the same angle as Q. So we would write E corresponds to our angle Q. Okay. If we look at F now, F is going to be the same thing as R. So you're going to write the same thing again. So angle F corresponds to angle R. Okay. And finally, our last one, our angle D is the same thing as P. So as you can see, it is the same triangle. It's just the one is bigger in length. Okay, so D corresponds to angle P. And this is our symbol for triangles or angles on a triangle. It is actually a little bit more like this. It's just a lot of work for me to draw them out for you, so I'm taking a bit of a shortcut. Now, they want you to find the corresponding sides of the triangles, meaning like this is going to be similar to this side length here. Okay, so the way that we write those is you do your 2 letters between the line that you're using. So D and E for this line here, so our hypotenuse in this case, is going to correspond to P and Q. Okay, so it corresponds to PQ. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for EF. So EF corresponds to, and the same side here is QR. And our last one is DF or FD corresponds to RP. Okay, so that's simple. That's all that matters. The order of the letters do matter. You do want them, like if you're going this way, if you're doing PR, it should be the same way here. So DF, or if you're going the opposite way, so FD would have to be RP. Okay, so don't write DF corresponds to RP. It's not the same. Okay, so I'm going to clear this, head over to B. Okay. So when we have similar triangles, it's written as a little triangle, our 3 letters that we use to label our angles. This means corresponds or is similar to triangle UTS. So our same letters that we would use. Okay. So it says to find the corresponding angles and sides for the triangle. So this one's going to be a little bit trickier than our first one, just because they're a bit upside down. So if you look at it, these 2 angles are the same. These 2 angles are the same. And those 2 are going to be the same. Okay, so they're opposite angles that are equal when they're in this type of shape. Okay, so I'm going to write it out. So our angle Q corresponds to, and like I said, our opposite angles. So this angle is going to be the same thing as this one. So we're going to write angle U. Okay, and then our angle R corresponds to, so this guy is going to be the same thing as this guy. So our angle T. And then finally, our angle S corresponds to our other angle S. Okay, and then we're going to look at these sides. So this guy is the same thing as this guy. So we've got QR corresponds to TU. So again, it has to be the same way. RS corresponds to TS. Okay, so this guy is the same thing as this guy. And SQ corresponds to SU. Okay, so SQ here is the same thing as this one. Okay. So I'm going to erase that and head over to example 2. Okay, so when we're finding the missing angles for similar angles, it's quite easy. It's pretty great. And so our first step is going to be, so pretend that this 85 here isn't there. So we want to find our missing angle on our first triangle. We know that this one's 25. We know that this one's 70. So we're trying to find what angle C is. Okay, so angle C is going to equal to 180. So all 3 angles add up to 180. Take away 25, take away 70, which means that our angle C is equal to 85. Okay. Now we have to name all of the angles for this guy. So because they are the same type of triangle, they have the same angles. Okay, so angle Q is going to be the same as our angle B here. So these guys are the same. Okay, so same as angle B, which is equal to 25. We're going to look for angle P, which is going to be the same as our angle A, which is 70 degrees. And finally, our last one is R, which is the same as angle C, which is 85. Okay, relatively simple. It's not too difficult. When we look at this guy here, so that's going to be the same thing as our B above. So these two angles are going to be the same. These are going to be opposite angles. So N and J are going to be the same, and M and Q are going to be the same. Okay, so opposite angles. So our first step is going to be to find our third angle here. So again, pretend like that 30 isn't there. Okay, so we know that our all of our angles are equal to 180. Take away 75, take away another 75. So that means that our angle L is 30. Okay. So our angle L is going to be the same as our angle L, which is 30 degrees. Our angle M is going to be the same as our angle K. Remember opposites. Oh, sorry. Angle K is going to be the same as M, which is going to be 75. And then our angle J is going to be the same as our angle N, which is also 75. Okay, so I'm clearing that. So when we're finding unknown sides here, you want to set up some ratios. So for this one, we want to find the side or the length Q. So with our triangles, our angles are capital letters and the corresponding side, so the side that goes across, straight across, is going to be a minuscule letter, the exact same. So if we look at this triangle here, this is a capital M because it's the angle M, but our side length here is going to be minuscule m. Okay, same thing here. We have our angle N, and our side length here is going to be little n. This guy is going to be O. Okay, so lowercase o. Same thing here. So we have capital P. This guy is going to be little p. This one's going to be little r. And then Q. And so for this problem, what we need to do is we need to find our lowercase q. Okay, so this guy right here. So to find our missing length, you have to make a ratio. Okay, so we know that we want to find q. Find q. Okay, so you're going to make a ratio that goes along with that. So let's say you're going to say that this side length is the same as this side length. So you're going to put that into a fraction. So 14 over 17. Okay, so you've got your first triangle side and then your second triangle side that is the same thing. And you're going to make that equal to, and you're going to do the exact same thing, but with our missing side. Okay, it's not going to be super helpful if we use the sides that we already know, those side lengths. So you're going to put, again, it has to be the same triangle. So because we put 14 as our numerator here, we're going to have to use the first triangle's number. So 16. And then the corresponding side that goes with it on our second triangle. So equals Q. Okay. So with this guy, all you've got to do to find our Q is you're going to cross multiply. So that means that we're going to have 14 times Q is equal to 16 times 17. Okay. So that gives us 14Q. And 16 times 17 gives us 272. So the same way that we did it with Pythagorean theorem, you want Q on its own, or you guys know it as BEDMAS. In this case, when you're trying to find a letter, so solve for Q is the expression. You want to do the opposite of BEDMAS, okay? So you're just trying to get rid of the numbers that surround the Q. So because this is being multiplied, we're dividing on both sides to cancel that out. Okay, so then Q is equal to 272 divided by 14, which gives us 19.42 or 43, sorry. Okay, and that is our side length here. The reason that we do this is because unlike the question with the aquariums last week, it's not going to be as easy as like, oh, this is 2 times bigger, you know? Like if we look here, we go from 14 to 17. Well, like what did we multiply by to get that much bigger, you know? So this is the way that you would find it. So you put it into a ratio with the first triangle's number on top, and then you cross multiply and you find the missing side that you need. I hope that makes sense. We do have our teams meet today if you have any questions. So I'm going to clear this off. And then you've got independent questions here. So name the corresponding angles and sides. You don't really need to do math for that. All you need to do is do your writing. So angle S corresponds to angle J. Okay. It is nice because in some of these, they give you the symbols to show you which one's which. So that'll help you out. And then here you're going to have to cross multiply, do your ratios, same thing that we just did. Okay, so you've got quite a few questions to practice with, which will be super helpful for you guys. Good luck.